Hello again. This is my Senville Mini Split. It's a 18,000 BTU unit. I installed this a little over 2.5 years ago, and to date it's worked very well. Now this unit I use 90% of the time for heating and 10% of the time for cooling. My house is insulated well enough so that if I had the air conditioner running during a very warm day, in the evening I can turn the unit off and the house stays cool throughout the night. So again, I use this 90% of the time for heating, 10% of the time for cooling. Twice a year I will clean the outside unit. I'll foam down the condenser coil, let it sit, and then hose it off. But I've never done a thorough cleaning of the inside unit, so I'm heading into another heating season and I want to try to get that done. So I thought I'd bring you along. There are bits and pieces of how to do this on the internet, but I'm going to try to do a more comprehensive video on how to take this apart, clean it, and put it back together. So here we go. First thing you'll want to do is make sure that you've turned the power off either at the circuit breaker box or the outside quick disconnect. Now I know this is not going to be real fancy because I'm alone and getting up and down the ladder, but I'll do the best I can. So there's a unit, and that's really the only disadvantage of this style installation is you're working quite high up off the floor, which again at my accelerated age is dangerous in itself. So the first thing we'll have to do, again, make sure the power is disconnected, is you have to lift up the lid and remove these two filters. Here are those filters removed, and I have not cleaned these for almost 2 years, and you can see they're not terribly fouled from dust and debris. And I believe the reason for that is I have this silly looking pre-filter that I made, and there it is right there. I'll just lay it down on the floor, and that sets up on top of the unit, and there's a lot of surface area there, and that filters a lot of the dust out before it gets to the unit. And I'll show you a picture later of it reinstalled, but I will clean those filters anyway. On to the next step. Okay, those filters have been removed. Now there's this cover you need to remove here to gain access to an electrical connector and to remove that temperature probe, so you can remove this front cover. Alright, now you have to get I just got a round Phillips head screwdriver, put it in that slot and pry up easily and it'll pop loose. But it's kind of a bugger to get out of here, and I don't know why they make it so difficult. I have to put the camera down so I can wrestle with this thing, and then I'll show you the back side of it. Alright, there's that cover removed, and there's a hole that I put the Phillips head screwdriver in. I just pushed down to pop that loose. And this is what the back side looks like. There's that little catch that you have to pop loose. And then there's two hooks that was giving me a time getting it loose from the unit. And there's some more hooks on this side here. But that's a bugger to get out. especially if you've never done it before. And it's been 2.5 years, so I forget. Onward. Okay, so with that cover removed, there's that temperature probe that has to get disconnected, and there's an electrical connector right there that you need to separate, and then you can take this front cover down. After that, there are 3 screws, one here, one there, and you take and you just gently pull this down, and right there is a small cover. You just pop that up, and there's a screw buried back in there. You need to take that one out as well. Then on top, so the 3 screws are out. On top, you'll have to lift up there, and there to unhook it from the indoor unit. Alright, let me get this disconnected and we'll press on. There's that electrical connector disconnected, and there's just to disconnect it, you just press this little tab right there on the back side and disconnect it from the other half. And there's, I can prop this up here with my one hand. There's that temperature probe. You need to take it out of there and out of there. So all that is free now, and this cover can come off. And again, I'm doing this alone, so I'll have to take this cover off and then show you later. There is the cover removed, and at this point, that's what the unit looks like. Next, I'm going to remove that outer cover. Again, the 3 screws on the bottom, and you lift at the top back to disengage some tabs. There's that front panel removed, and it is not easy, okay? And I discovered on the bottom here, this will be on the underside, there's these 2 cutouts right here. You need to pull down on that to help release the cover from the frame. And there are the holes that engage the frame on the top, and I'll show you that. So this will normally set on the unit like that, okay? And there are those holes to receive the clips on top, and we'll go take a look at those right now. And this did not want to come off. I mean, it's been there 2.5 years. And it's like you don't want to break anything, but okay. So there's the top, and there are those clips that engage that plastic cover, or shroud, or whatever you want to call it. Okay? And 2.5 years, I mean, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I'm still going to clean this. I do have a bonnet or bib that I bought to put over this thing. So next, let's see here, what are we going to do? We're going to take this louver down. And to do that, you need to remove the drive motor, and then there's a couple clips in there. There's one clip there, one clip there, and supposedly this louver will come out. So here we go. Next, we're going to remove the louver drive motor, and there are 2 screws, and I've already done it. There's the drive motor, and there's a screw here, and then back of the motor there'll be a screw here, and I just put them back in there loosely so I don't lose them. Next, we'll work on these clips that hold the louver in place. Okay, the louver is out. Now, again, this is not easy, and I will try to do my best to show you. What I did was, there's that bushing that engages the plastic on the frame, and I'll try to get a close-up shot of this thing. And what I wound up doing was I took a screwdriver, I took a screwdriver and got it in between the plastic on the frame and pushed it back and got one loose. Okay, so one is disengaged from the frame, and then I gently bent the louver, this is just cheapy plastic anyway, and disengaged the left side, and then just removed the last remaining pin from the frame on the unit that's still on the wall. And I'll take you back up and show you what that looks like at this point. And we're all learning this together. So we'll come back up here. And the one bushing, again, is I just left it there. There's that bushing. And that's the one I popped out. There's a bushing there. And there is a little bit of grease they put in these things so they'll move a little easier. I have been working on trying to figure out how to get that impeller out. Now you see these little grates right here? There was one here also. There was two screws. One screw there, one screw there. That little grill came out. And tucked up under there, and I'll give you a still shot, there's a Phillips head screw that you need to loosen. And there's that little grate that I was telling you about, and that goes up in there. On the right side of the unit, there's a screw right there that needs to be removed, and it's a bugger because there's just no place to get a screwdriver in there, but I did get it out. Okay, I'm on the left side of the unit. There's a screw there, and there's a screw there that needs to be removed. And to get that impeller wheel out, you need to lift this side of the evaporator, and there's a bearing on the left side of the impeller wheel. You need to lift that up, remove it, and remove the impeller wheel from the unit. All right, I've got that impeller wheel removed, just as I said. There is the bearing that I removed from the left side, and it's just, you lift it up out of the housing, and then, well, let's see, if it's like this, you have to lift the unit up, pull that out of the receiver, and then go after the impeller wheel and just draw it out of the unit. And you'll have to lift that evaporator coil up quite a bit to get that wheel out because it is quite large. Now, again, this is 2.5 years, and it's almost a waste having to disassemble this. I had no idea what this was going to look like, but it's in excellent condition. I am going to clean it. Another main goal was to lubricate this bearing here, make sure that's lubed up real good. And then I'm going to foam the evaporator coil and rinse it and then put it back together. And there's that set screw I had to loosen to get it off the motor shaft. Alright, I have the bib up and I've got some plastic covering the electrical section on the right side of the unit, and I'm going to be spraying it with this coil cleaner, and then I'm going to rinse it with this hand sprayer I got from Harbor Freight, and I'm going to use distilled water. So I'll get it foamed up and go from there. Okay, I'm sorry I couldn't show you the actual process. Again, I'm a one-man band and 9 feet off the ground. It's not so easy. I did foam it. I waited 10 minutes, then I rinsed it down. And that little sprayer that I got from Harbor Freight, that worked beautiful. Just enough pressure. You can change the spray pattern. It just worked real well. As a matter of fact, I hardly even needed that little bib that I put around that. It worked that well. So it's all rinsed down, and here are all the parts cleaned and ready to be reassembled. I took some white out and I made a dab right there, which is right next to that screw, so when I reinstall this impeller, I know where that screw is. And likewise, I put a little bit of white out on the flat of the motor shaft so I can easily align these things, and hopefully it won't be such a hassle. So that's what I'm going to do next. And again, I'm sorry I can't show you this, but like I said, one-man band. Okay, the impeller is reinstalled. The bearing on the left side is reinstalled. And those white marks that I made came in real handy getting things realigned. Now, I'll get back up there and show you the screws that I reinstalled. On the left side of the unit, there are 2 screws that you need to reinstall. This screw here and that screw there, and that will keep the evaporator secured on the left side. And I'll move the ladder and I'll get over on the right side. Okay, I'm on the right side of the unit, and there's that screw right there. And that's a sweetheart, because there's just no way to get at it easily. It's blocked by those tubes. But anyway, it's tight now. So I guess next is the... One thing about this camera I do not like, and it's a Easy Shear Z5120. It just loves to eat batteries. I don't get much time out of them at all. Anyway, I don't know where it died, but what I'm going to be doing now is to install that powered Louver on the bottom of the unit. Okay, that powered Louver is reinstalled, and the best I can do for you is, the way I did this was I installed this pin first into the bushing, then I bent this just a little bit and got that one in, then this here, this section right here, I bent over just enough to get that bushing in. I came over and installed that bushing that connects to the drive motor. And again, there's 2 screws you need to put back in to secure that in place. Hopefully you can see that. So now the outer shell needs to go on. Okay, the outer shell has been reinstalled, and you just have to lock it in position on top, And then again, there's 3 screws, one on either side, and then one in the center under that little cover. And if you do this, don't forget to put that temperature probe back in position. And let's see here, there is the electrical connector for the front panel. And I'm going to install that right now. Filters are back in place. All scrubby clean. Well, there it is, all reassembled. I did reinstall my pre-filter, and honestly, it does such a good job that even another 2.5 years would be probably not worth it. Although I'm glad I went through the process. I'm glad I lubricated that one bearing, and I'm just about ready to turn power back on. The 3 items I decided not to put back in were those grates right there. I have no idea. It's probably something they're required to install to keep people's fingers out of the impeller, but 8.5 feet off the ground, if I'm dumb enough to put my fingers in there, well, I deserve to get bit. So let's reconnect power and see if we still got smoke inside. Moment of truth. There we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, looks good. So that's it. Hopefully that'll help some of you out there that decide you want to undertake this yourself. I'm not sure what they would charge to come in and do that for me. Probably more than I want to pay. So that's it for this one. Thanks again for taking the time to watch the video, and have a nice day.